Hey there. Today I want to show you how you can put your web project onto the internet. So let's get started. In getting started, you're going to have to get a VPS, and you can get this from any cloud provider. Today I'm going to use Linode, but I've also used AWS, Azure, and DigitalOcean, and another service called Ionos. And I would say that DigitalOcean, Linode, and Ionos have been the best. I don't really like GCP, Azure, or AWS. I think they're kind of clunky, but regardless, just get yourself a VPS and create one like I'm doing right here. I'm going to be using Ubuntu 20.04 for this demonstration. Here you can choose your own label for this. I'm going to call this test server. Add a root password. For this, I just go into my terminal, type in OpenSSL rand, specify which type, and then specify the length. And obviously I'm not going to keep this server, but anyways, if you're going to do this, store it in a password manager. And then you can also add in an SSH key, which I'll show you how to do right now. In your terminal, you just type in SSH-keygen, and you can do this in Windows if you're in PowerShell as well. That's the way I've done it before. But anyways, when this comes up, you just want to type in where you want to store the SSH key and then give it a reasonable name. So for this, I'm just going to call it test server, and enter a passphrase if you want. And then once you've got that done, cd into that directory. So that's SSH, and then say cat, let's see, test server.pub. And this will print out your public key. So go into add an SSH key, say test server SSH, and then you just want to copy this into that text input and say add key. I'm good to create this now. So our server is now running, so let's SSH into it. And we will say yes here. And if you're getting an error like this, you just need to type in the following command and then SSH into it. Now this is where you get that password that you just created and paste that in. Okay, so now that we're in our server, I'm going to go into my domain and change the name servers within the domain so they're pointing to Linode. So pretty much if you're doing this, go to domains and then create a domain. The domain that I'm going to be using is called countryflagsapi.com, and then enter in an email address. Now in your registrar for your domain, you just need to add in these name servers to wherever you can do that. So here within this current domain, countryflagsapi.com, it's usually in a DNS section, and then name servers is where you can do this. I've already done this, but essentially all you would do is you just say change name servers, and then you would just input the different name servers and save it. So with that out of the way, let's go back. We should be all good here, except that we just need to add in these A records. Yeah, go and add these records. So that should all just save automatically. Now with that done, I'm going to go back into the server here, and this is where I'm going to install my dependencies that I need for actually running the code that I want to put on the internet. So one of those dependencies is just going to be Node.js, because that's what my project is written in. And for installing Node.js, I just go to this GitHub repository by NodeSource, and they have instructions for installing on Ubuntu. So we'll run this, install Node.js 18 on the Ubuntu distro. Okay, now let's install Nginx. So apt get install Nginx. And let's also enable our firewall right now. So UFW status, we can see this, and it's inactive. So run UFW enable. Yes. And now we just need to run status, and you'll see there's no active ports running, or no active ports open. So we're going to need to open up port 80, port 443, and then port 22, so that we can SSH into the server and get to the HTTP and HTTPS ports. So we'll do that with UFW allow 80, UFW allow 443, and then UFW allow open SSH. And if we run UFW status again, we will see that now we can, well, now we have these different ports open. So we'll clear this, and then we'll go into the etc directory for Nginx, and there's this directory within here called conf.d, so change into that. And here you just need to create a configuration file. Right now it's empty, this directory, but we're going to do that with Vim here. And the name of this is just going to be your domain name. So countryflagsapi.com for me. And then after that, you're going to say conf. You just follow it with that extension. And within this, we need to say server. And we're essentially creating an HTTP server. Here we'll say listen on port 80, and then we'll say listen in a different way on port 80, and then we have the server name is going to be www.countryflagsapi.com, and also I'm going to put this before it, but it's just the same thing without the www. countryflagsapi.com. Okay, now we just need to do the reverse proxies, so we'll say location is root, and for this project I'm actually running it on port 4000, so that's where it's going to be running on this machine, this VPS. So whenever we get to root here for this domain, we need to do a proxy pass to localhost port 4000. So that's what we'll do here, proxy underscore pass HTTP localhost port 4000. Okay, so with that done, save this file, and now we need to install Python 3 certbot, and then we need to get the SSL certificates for this particular server. So do this with the following command. Then run certbot nginx. Enter in your email address. And when you get to this point, just press enter, because we want the certificates for both of these. Here we're going to redirect. We've got a new site, and it's advising for this. And it's generally just better practice to run your server through HTTPS. So that's what we'll do here. So if we go to countryflagsapi.com right now, it should just point to, yeah, bad gateway. Okay, so essentially all this is saying is that we've got our Nginx server is running now. Now, after a given number of days, I think it's 90, the SSL certificates need to be renewed. So we'll just set up a cron job for this. So you can do that by typing in the following command, and I'm just going to use Vim here, but all of those are text editors, so it's use whichever one you please. We'll do insert here, and you just need to type in the following command to renew your certificates. So we just need to change directories up one level, and then we will type in Vim. We just need to change the Nginx configuration file. And within this we have tokens, server tokens off. Yes, that's what we're looking for. Let's change this. So all we want to do there is just uncomment that, and we'll save this, and now we just need to restart Nginx. Alright, so with that done, let's go into the home directory here, and I just am going to pull my code from GitHub. So you can do this in many other ways too. You can use Docker. For this, I'm just going to use GitHub and clone the repo. But essentially, all you have to do here is just say git clone the repository and cd into it. And I just need to install the dependencies here, so I'm going to run npm ci. Clear this. I'll run npm run build because I'm using TypeScript for this project, and then I'll run npm run start, and I'll run that in the background. Now this is listening on port 4000, so let's see if we still have an issue here, and we no longer do. So here you can see that we have our website on the internet now, and it's connected with HTTPS. So that's pretty cool, and if we do HTTP, it should auto configure to, well, it redirects to HTTPS. So that's how you can get your project onto the internet. I'm going to go over how you can add in that SSH key. So it looked like we weren't able to SSH into our server. So if we even do it right now, root at countryflagsapi.com, we'll say yes. Yeah, we're getting this too many authentication failures. So I think that the issue here is that our public key just isn't in the known hosts here. So let's go into the root here, clear ls-a. Yeah, so we don't even have the SSH directory here. So there's a few ways you could do this. You could run this command on your local machine, or you could just go into here and you would just create the directory. So make dir.ssh cd into that directory. ls, there's nothing in here. And now we just need to say vim authorized underscore keys, and back in your on your local computer, since we're in the SSH directory, we'll just say cat test-server.pub, and we'll copy this over into this authorized keys. So we'll save this and then clear, and we should be able to SSH into this now. So let's give it a try. And there you go. So that worked. But there's also other stuff that you can do. So right now we only have a root user, and that could be a security concern. So let's create another user for development purposes. You would just have to run this add user command. Let's just say test server admin. New password, let's just generate one right now. We could actually just use this. Don't use this in production, but we'll just use this same password for root. And that's because we're actually going to disable passwords here in a second. So we'll just do this. Yes, this is all correct. Now we would just need to add this to the sudo group, which is what they're doing here. So usermod -ag sudo test server admin. So now we can say su test server admin, and that switches us to the test server admin. And if we say exit, it takes us back to root. But if we try to SSH into test server admin, we won't be able to do that. So let's give that a try right now. And that's only with the SSH key. So if we say test server admin at countryflagsapi.com, we get this too many authentication failures. So we would just have to do the same thing that we did before with the -o and then the, I think it's identity something. Identities only equals to yes. So if we do it like this, we can enter in the password that we just gave the account, and we can log in this way. But it would be a lot more convenient to just use the SSH key. So we'll have to do the same thing that we did here, because if you type in ls-a, you see that this also doesn't have the SSH directory. So we'll make that here, cd into it, and then it was authorized keys, I believe, authorized _ keys. And in there, we're just going to do the same thing that we did before. So we'll cat out our public key and then copy it into that file. So it was test server. And now we can give this a try. So SSH test server admin at countryflagsapi.com. And now we're in. So that's how you do that. But what if you want to not allow the users to enter with a password? So you only allow users to enter in if they have the SSH key. So now we just need to vim into sshd_config and make sure that you are using the sudo command here if you're on this particular user that you just created. Okay, now we just need to search for these. And we just need to reload SSHD now. Okay, let's do that with sudo here. And now if we open up a new terminal on our local machine and try and SSH into our server using our credentials, we'll get hit with an error saying that we can't do that. So we can only use the SSH key now, which is a good thing. So that's going to be it for this video. I hope that you guys found it useful, and thank you very much for watching.